This is a 2021 Toyota Supra, and this is Toyota's premier sports car. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a review and telling you whether or not I think this car is worth it or not. My name is Jason. You're watching Got an X. Now, the first thing I want to talk about with this car is something you cannot ignore, and it's the beautiful styling this car has. You look at this car and it's very sleek, it's very narrow, and it honestly, in my opinion, looks fantastic. Now, up here in the front, you have one of the most unique and honestly cool headlights that I've seen. It's a split up into 3 different LEDs, and honestly, it looks really, really cool. It's a different design. I think it works for the car, makes it look a little more aggressive, and helps with that sleek feel. You have the Toyota badge up front, as well as this grille that's split into 3 parts, which isn't my favorite looking grille ever, but it's definitely one that gets the job done. It shows that this is a more sporty car. You also have some fake hood vents up top here, which I don't really think the car needs, but it looks all right in my opinion. Overall, the front of the car is definitely a pleasure to look at. Let's check out some of the rest. Now, onto the side of the car, this is where things start getting a little bit more interesting. Not many people are going to notice this when you first look at the car, but there's actually this weird little indent here that gives you a little bit extra sleekness while showing off why this car is still definitely sporty. I think it looks fantastic. As well as you get these 255s in the front and 275 tires in the back to help kind of carry you on the road and let you feel a little bit more sporty. I personally think the tires are a great fit for the car, and we'll talk more about that in the driving experience, but this thing is amazing to drive and feels fantastic. Under the hood of the Toyota Supra, you are going to get a 3.0 liter inline-six engine that creates a whopping 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque, which honestly is a tanky little engine. They get their engine outsourced from BMW, which definitely is a good fit for this car, and honestly I think stands out, making the Supra one of the more fun driving experiences. I also want to point out how much space there is under the hood here. This hood is massive and it lifts up, giving you a lot of room to work, which is honestly really, really rare. I've been seeing a lot of these newer cars that you kind of need to take into the shop to get worked on because the engine is not easily accessible. The Supra is not one of those though, so you can rest easy knowing that you can work on your car. Now, onto the back of the Supra, we have a few things I'd like to point out that I think are definitely a benefit for the car. You have the Supra logo back here, which honestly looks really, really good. It's a unique font that you don't see on many other cars. The Supra logo, in my opinion, looks really, really clean. It's nice. You also have the standard Toyota badging, as well as the GR badging down here. You have your 2 exhaust pipes, which sound fantastic. Let me tell you something. This car shocked me with how good it sounds. How about you guys give it a listen and tell us what you think? Now, onto some of the things that aren't really the best with this car, it's going to be storage space. You have 10.2 cubic feet of storage space in the back here, which is not a lot to work with. Honestly, this is probably one of the big downsides of this car. You're barely getting a grocery run done here, but to be fair, if you're buying this car, I don't think you're going to want it for practicality, but you're going to want it for the fun. So let's talk about some of the fun stuff and go inside. Now, on the inside of the Toyota Supra, it's honestly a comfortable place to be. It's definitely a little bit cramped like most sports cars are, but honestly, I think once you get past that little stepping stone, it's quite comfortable. First of all, you do have a bunch of little features throughout the car, like the wheel for your infotainment system, which I think is really responsive. It reminds me of something like Audi, Mercedes, or BMW. The infotainment screen itself, though, is a little bit smaller, but it definitely gets the job done. There's a few things. Navigation throughout here is not hard at all. I do like it, but definitely if you want a bigger screen, this is not the car for you. But this is definitely a car that you're gonna have a lot of fun driving. Speaking of driving, the steering wheel here is phenomenal to hold. I definitely think it's comfortable. It's definitely not the worst steering wheel, definitely not the best, but it's definitely on the higher end, if that makes sense. The gauge cluster is not fully digital, and that's okay because it looks very sleek and very clean. Throughout the car, you have a bunch of features. You have heated seats, a wireless charger here, you have USB ports. Overall, I think the interior of the Supra is definitely a little nicer than you'd expect. Definitely not the best one I've ever seen in my entire life, but it gets the job done for an incredibly fun driving experience that I'd like to get right into. Now, driving the Toyota Supra, like I've been saying throughout the entire video, is definitely the reason you're going to buy this car if you want it. Driving it is a treat. You feel complete control behind the wheel. You accelerate incredibly fast, and it kind of just gives you that feel of complete control and honestly like prowess on the road. I definitely feel like I'm in a car meant to show off and make me look good, because this thing in fact does look really, really good. But other than that, your tires feel great on the road. You don't really hear that much of like road noise. You just get to hear that exhaust in the back, which is super nice. But let's talk about some of the bad things about this car. Well, if you look around, there is definitely going to be the issue of not being able to see out of the car. This is probably one of the worst cars for blind spots, up par with the Camaro or the Corvette or something along those lines, where you're kind of craning your neck and praying that nothing's behind you because it's that hard to see out of. The comfortability of the car when you're driving definitely goes down a little bit as it is cramped and you can kind of feel it, and if you're constantly training and turning your neck to try and see, it's going to hit you a little bit harder. But overall, it's not a deal breaker for a car like this. Overall, just sitting behind the wheel and pushing your foot on the gas is an experience like no other. Look at that, man. Oh, it's awesome. Now, the Toyota Supra, is it a cop or is it a drop? In my personal opinion, I think the Supra is 100% worth it as a car. This car only costs about $50,000, which definitely is a lot of money, do not get me wrong, but compared to some of the other models that are going to get you this much of a fun driving experience, it's definitely in the lower range. I think it's 100% worth it. I think this is a phenomenal sports car you can have. Super nice, super comfortable, not incredibly luxurious, but it definitely gets the job done and you will feel very, very cool driving around in a car like this. I definitely think it's worth it. Let me know if you guys would buy this car in the comments below. And if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and we will see you in the next one.